This video is brought to you by G-Kids and viewers like you. Thank you.
Me and the works of Mamoru Hosoda have a bit of a history, at least as far as my enjoyment of his films go. The pattern seems to be that I love and adore every second film he has ever done, whereas I am kind of lukewarm towards the other ones. Girl Who Leapt Through Time? Loved it. Summer Wars? I preferred it when it was called Digimon. Wolf Children? To this day, still one of my favorite films of all time. Boy and the Beast? I could have taken it or left it. So you can imagine that when Mirai was announced and then released, I was quite excited by its existence, because if the pattern held true, I was going to love this film. Unfortunately, though, this time round I ended up... Yeah, no, I'm just kidding, the film's great. And I'm not the only one who thinks so, because at the time of this video, Mirai received a nomination for Best Film at the Crunchyroll Anime Awards, and even more prestigiously, was nominated for the 2018 Academy Awards for Best Animated Film. But why is it good, and perhaps more importantly, should you watch it if you haven't already? Perhaps you already know my answer to those questions, but in case you don't, ladies, gentlemen, and others, welcome to today's Glass Reflection, where we are going to be taking a look at the 2018 anime film directed by Mamoru Hosoda, Mirai. Let's jam. Mirai is a modern tale about sibling rivalry with an added, fantastical yet subtle twist, the kind Hosoda is known for. The young Kun is a boy who has, up until this point in his life, been the main focus of his parents' time and attention. Both his mother and father are very loving parents, and they have been showering him with that love. However, trouble in his life comes as his parents soon bring home a new member of the family, his younger sister, Mirai. Now, Kun is no longer the darling of the family. His sister is now receiving the attention that he believes he still deserves. But before he can turn truly evil and resort to dastardly ways to get his parents' attention again, he is visited by his sister from the future. She comes with hopes both to set him straight as well as to help herself with her own goals. A lot of this film's narrative is like a weird anime version of A Christmas Carol, with Kun taking the place of Ebenezer Scrooge, though instead of having a snotty rich jerk who doesn't know the true meaning of Christmas and gets taught that by ghosts of his past, present, and future, here we have Kun being a bratty, pampered kid who hasn't yet learned to share and getting taught the true meaning of family by his ancestors and sister from the future, as well as his dog. Because that's apparently a thing. Original is not necessarily a trait that I would apply to this story. However, in its place, I would instead use the terms refined and cozy. Mirai is like the perfect culmination of every film Hosoda has done to date. Like, some directors and shows like to explore different topics and themes with each new project, but Hosoda is the kind of guy who, twice now, has returned to an older concept that he once worked with and decided to improve upon it. Summer Wars, as much as I may have hated on it over the years, is literally Digimon R war game recreated to be even better, though without the ties to Digimon, obviously. This time around, he hasn't just reimagined one of his old themes, but several, all at the same time. And it works. Like, here, check this out. Mirai as a character is literally a girl who leapt through time. Kun spends a lot of time with his dog that has an anthropomorphized version that he can interact with. You might say that this is the boy and his beast. Kun then gains the characteristics of a dog and runs around for a bit, but it's less like a dog and more like a wolf. For that brief moment, he is a wolf child. And hell, it is only a visual reference, but just try to tell me that when he wakes up this one particular morning and has this exact bedhead, that is not a reference to Digimon. You can't. Hosoda could, but the chances of him watching this video are next to nil, so I should be safe. Now, I could say that all of this retreading is a bad idea, that Hosoda was just narratively lazy, and that he doesn't know what he wants to do anymore. I could unfairly point to the lack of a co-script writer, as on several of his older works he had Satoko Ukudera as a co-script writer, which I can only imagine made every script that she touched even better just with the benefit of a second pair of eyes. But while all of these things are possible, I still cannot deny that everything in this film just works. I can't help but relate to this small boy and his disappointment at the world for no longer feeling as important to his parents as he used to. For him to make this journey into the history of his family, to find a way to accept his sister, and to understand even a little bit more about what his parents are going through was a fantastic journey that I enjoyed watching. Hosoda's Wolf Children is still one of my favorite films of all time for its take on motherhood and raising children under difficult circumstances. And Mirai almost wants to tell the same story, just from a different perspective. Because here, the child is the focus rather than the parents, and that alone changes everything. I will say, though, I was surprised that Mirai, despite being the titular character, doesn't actually get all that much screen time in the film. Narratively, she is the linchpin for the entire story, and so it was one of the few things I was disappointed by. But I do understand that her name also means future, and that theme was very well represented throughout the course of the film. I just wish we could have seen more of her, as I considered her appearances to be a wonderful breath of fresh air to counter the early cringe of Kun's actions. So, was this movie as good as I was hoping? Largely, I'd have to say yes. If you were to compare it to Wolf Children, I would, by virtue of Wolf Children being one of my favorite anime films of all time, have to place Mirai ever so slightly lower. But in all fairness, that is an extremely high bar, and I was never expecting Mirai to be able to leap over that. Anyway, disregarding that circumstance, Mirai has handily met my expectations. At a time where anime films are becoming more and more wondrous with each passing year, with tales of emotional connections and settings fantastical in nature, it's nice that this one brings us a little closer to home. Yes, it has emotional connections and elements of fantasy locations within it, to be sure, but the heart of this film is with Kun and his family, and it showcases the beginning of what will probably be a very unique sibling rivalry that hopefully you will enjoy. Thank you for spending the time to watch my thoughts on Mirai. I hope you enjoyed it. While the film isn't currently available for streaming as of yet, you can, however, pre-order the DVD and Blu-ray online, as it will soon be released by North American distributor G-Kids, who are also nice enough to sponsor this video. And it'll be out in April of this year, I believe. It's worth the wait. For alternate anime recommendations, let's start with the obvious one. The one that I have been mentioning several times over the course of this video. It's Wolf Children. The reasoning should be obvious. Like, I know I recommended it back with Makia as well, but it's my favorite anime film at present, so please cut me some slack just so I can make sure that as many people have seen it as possible. That is kind of my whole goal with it. Second recommendation goes to a film from several years past, when Marnie was there. Usually with my recommendations, I do try my best to find similarities between the shows that I'm talking about and the shows that I am recommending, and there are a few studios out there that can do the complicated themes in a family-friendly package better than Ghibli. When Marnie Was There is the kind of film that, like Mirai, has a way of enchanting you with its narrative, and it is one that I highly recommend if you have yet to watch it. So go and do that thing. And between those options, I hope you find something to your liking. Lastly, a very special thank you to all of my patrons who not only support my work in general, but allow me to do what I do. I love and appreciate you all. Specifically, though, as I like to do, I want to give particular shoutouts to patrons Calhoun Boy, City Yamako, Ryfin Bonaparte, Rune Jacobson, and Joshua Garcia for being especially awesome. You guys are great. And until next time, ladies, gentlemen, and others, watch more anime and stay frosty.